Yes, our children, drink deep and feel the searing embrace of the first one. Now it is time for you to acquire what you came for.
The burning in your veins is but a moment of discomfort in your transition to the great beyond. Now we welcome you to your eternity. Drink deeply, have faith, and join us in this sermon.
Welcome back to the Koolaid Stand. I'm Jett.
And I'm Steven.
And I heard you hit a drop this morning.
I did. Oh, yeah. We're talking about my poor financial decisions on air. Yeah. I don't. So when you buy balisongs or butterfly knives and you want the nicer stuff, you have to pretty much be in the know when a set of knives are gonna drop, and then you have to snag them as soon as they go into sale. And there's this knife I've been kind of looking at for a while, since I kind of got back into the hobby, and it sounds really cool and it looks very nice and it's got a lot of modifications, and it's designed in a way that's really very uncommon. So I despite knowing that I probably should not, I was not going to miss the opportunity, because this is the last drop of this version of this model of the knife. So there's always a reason I could find to do what I think I shouldn't do. But I woke up early, waited till 12. Well, I woke up early-ish. The drop was at 10 o'clock.
Early for you.
Well, all right. I was trying not to say that. On a weekend, yeah, absolutely. I like to sleep in on the weekends. And I refreshed the page at 9:59 until they all came up for sale, and I fucking sniped it. So, yeah.
Here's what I'll say in your favor with this. This is like a sneakerhead trying to hit a drop, right? Except the scarcity is actually real, to my understanding. Instead of them just being we're only going to make 100 pairs of shoes. It's just one artisan knife maker who can't make any more than they end up releasing.
Yeah, I think there were 25 knives, and
25.
They haven't done a drop. Yeah.
Damn.
and I looked back after I bought mine, and they were sold out. So
see, that's an excuse in my mind.
Yeah, I think so.
Not
and
that
this
you
one came with
need
extra.
one.
No, I have 5 more. And
not
and
that you
3
need
more
an
trainers.
excuse. I'm not saying you.
Oh, okay.
I'm not trying to criticize you. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm obviously, my internal monologue is criticizing myself. So, but yeah, that's what I had going on this morning.
That happens.
You're going on a vacation, right?
Every time I spend a bunch of money, I feel that way. And yes, I am about to go on vacation and spend a bunch of money. I'm just going to say where I'm going to explain that, because I'll already be back by the time this episode comes out. Don't try to track me down. I simply will not be there anymore. I'm going to Las Vegas. And I'm going for a week, which is a long time to be in Las Vegas. Fortunately, I'm going to kind of I'm not staying in a casino hotel, so I won't be able to just walk downstairs and start spending money.
Sure.
But I have been really excited about it all week. I've just been ready to check out of work, but I've also been trying to leave myself in a good spot to leave work for a week.
Sure. Were there any hiccups with getting this week off? Because I know last time you tried to do this, it was a big fucking problem.
No, fortunately not. I have a different employer than last time I had a situation where I was denied vacation time. So yeah, no troubles getting the week off. It's unpaid, but that's fine. I'm just excited for the time off.
That's awesome.
But since I've been in the spirit, I decided I wanted to talk about a story that would be on theme this week. I want to tell you about one of the greatest casino scams that anybody has ever pulled off.
I love scamming casinos in general. So look, I've only been to Vegas once. It sucked. I'm not really a Vegas guy. I have the same problem with Vegas that I have with places like Disney parks or just general amusement parks or fairs. It's I'm too caught off. I'm too I can't get immersed because the facade just seems so obvious to me, and I hate it. It's like I'm being told that I need to behave and be a certain way, and I can tell that everything's fucking set up against me there, and I can't stand that shit. Not criticizing anyone who likes it, because I like The issue with this is I like the aesthetic of casinos.
Right.
I like their unapologetic seedy nonsense, and not that I like that they exist, but I can appreciate the vibe, I guess.
Yeah.
And going to the table and throwing dice on the green, and everyone's dressed up and money's rolling, and and everyone's about to lose their life savings and shit. It's just it's fun. I appreciate it. I like scenes in movies that are taking place at casinos. It's a game we played called Payday 2 that has a casino heist. It's one of my favorite heists.
Yeah.
The thing I love most about casinos is when people fucking tip the scale in the proper direction. Casinos are fucking awful and villainous, and they take advantage of people and will let you gamble until you kill yourself. But they cry when you're an advantaged player at the blackjack table.
Yeah. Yeah.
The irony is delectable, and I love watching. You tipped me on to a guy on YouTube who's like part of a gambling collective. They like run around because they're like really good card counters, and they run around to different casinos with investment money, pretty much, and then they turn into distinct growth. But it's like 2% over 50% chance they have to do that. So it's like it's not really a valuable method of income generation without like a ton of money up front.
Yeah, no.
But it's still
with
cool.
Card counting, right? Because that's one of the few reliable ways that people have left to beat the casino's edge that they have on their players.
Right.
And I'll actually talk about the odds and how much of an edge card counters actually have later in the episode. But
cool.
At this point in time, you're right. It's so minuscule that you have to put up tens of thousands of dollars at a minimum, and you have to play thousands of hands for it to work out in your favor.
Yeah, and we're talking like if you hit it right, just the right time. See, that's gambling. By the numbers.
Exactly.
I'll run the numbers in my head later when you give me the percentages, but like by the numbers, it's not a lot. So you need a lot of upfront money and a lot of card counters to make some real money.
And they'll kick you out fast.
Yeah, dude. They're always watching you, and if you're doing too well at blackjack, they'll be like, "We don't want you to play here anymore," and they'll kick you out. Sometimes they'll fucking like shake you down. It's fucking ridiculous. And for these reasons, I hate casinos. I just like their vibe. I do not like any of this other shit, or the fact that they will allow you to spend everything you have.
Well, today we're going to talk about a degenerate gambler, but we're also going to talk about a guy who got his lick back against the casino. So I think you're gonna like that.
We've been on gambling for months at this point.
Yeah, my last episode was about prediction markets.
Half of my last episode was the stock market.
That's true. Which, as we pointed out in both episodes, is simply gambling.
Just gambling. Yeah. All right.
So yeah, casino scam time. And honestly,
okay,
it might be unfair to even consider what these guys end up doing to be a scam. You'll see that people in this story arguably beat the casino legally, but as we know, the house always wins. So I'll let you decide for yourself near the end whether you think this whole affair was illegal, because the casinos definitely disagree. One way or another,
I'm going to say
it's some impressive shit that they pull off here.
I love that. And I love it when casinos get ripped. It's the best, like I said before, because they mostly rip people. But I want to say real quick, it is not illegal to count cards.
This is true.
If you're the type and you think about doing that, you can. It's really hard, but it's not illegal. You cannot be arrested. They can't do anything to you. All they can do is ask you to leave. It's not illegal. They want you to think that it is, but it's not.
Yeah, as long as you're ready to like get harassed and kicked out of casinos and like switching casinos to do your card counting, then legally they can't touch you. You just have to be okay with them harassing you all the time, I think.
What law are you breaking? You count too well? Well,
that's part of what makes this so contentious is like the case against the people in this story is kind of like, well, you just played too good and that's not allowed.
Aw.
Yeah. So I have a feeling I know what side you'll be on and what side I'll be on, but yeah. It's a pretty interesting legal battle that we have at the end. Do you know about the game of baccarat?
I have heard about baccarat, and obviously, like when you go like looking at videos and reading stuff about people counting cards, or just being in casinos in general, baccarat is like one of the ones that people say that you should play, not because you can count cards precisely, but because it has pretty okay odds.
Yeah, so Baccarat has one of the best built-in odds in the terms that if you're a normal person just trying to play a game at a casino, it's one of the games that you can sit there and play for the longest without losing a bunch of money if you go on a bad run, because the odds are pretty close to 50-50. It's the same thing as somebody who's playing blackjack and like knows the right times to call or not call to to stand and the right times to hit, right?
Oh yeah, this is the one where you basically just vote dealer or banker or yourself, and it's just whoever's closest to 9, right?
Yeah, exactly. So normally Baccarat is literally a pure game of chance. The odds are totally fixed, making it impossible to play with an advantage. It's a card game where the player and the dealer are each dealt a hand, and in simple terms, like you said, the hand that comes closest to 9 wins. But
Simple
you
enough.
bet before the cards are even shown. You either picked right or you picked wrong. The players don't get to make any decisions like hitting or standing in blackjack, and in mini baccarat, you can't even touch the cards with your hands.
Okay.
However, in 2012, poker great Phil Ivey and high roller Chung Yin, goes by Kelly's son, would make 4 visits to the Borgata Casino in Atlantic City and walk away with $9.6 million. Mini baccarat was the only game they played.
We got to play baccarat. Damn.
Us going to play blackjack for the first time.
That's fucking crazy. I've also heard of Phil Ivey, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah, he's a pretty famous poker player, which we'll get to. Between visits to the Borgata, the pair also took a trip to London, where they amassed another $12 million in baccarat winnings. They managed to do all of that in less than a year, taking
God damn.
20 million from casinos, playing a game of pure chance.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
How?
Well, I'll tell you.
Yeah. Okay.
Before we get into the story of how they did it, I want to introduce you to Phil Ivey and Kelly's son. You said you know who Phil Ivey is?
I just know he's like a poker legend, I think.
Yeah, he's one of the most famous and considered one of the greatest, if not the greatest poker player of all time. And still, even after this whole thing goes down, he's just really, really good. I'm not really a big poker guy, but high stakes competitive poker is a huge deal culturally. Are you aware of like how large and popular the World Series of Poker is?
I mean, I'm aware that like people get really into it. I've seen some plays like from the event. Like it's commentated like it's sports. I mean,
Yeah.
it kind of is. I mean, it's kind of sports.
It's kind of sports, yeah.
10 years ago, you would have told me I was lying, or you would have said I was wrong. But I think any kind of competitive play like that is a sport, because they require sportsmanship, which I know is just a word I'm applying, but like it's performance of whatever at a high level of competition. And if that's I think it's sports. I think chess is a sport. I think a lot of things are sports. You don't need to basically go fucking risk CTE and bodily injury to say you're playing a sport.
I think the argument against that would just be that there's not like physical exertion, right? But it's definitely one of those games like chess that is so competitive and that people can get so skilled at that there's definitely an argument to be made that poker is just a sport.
In general, I've seen games that are like they've got. I mean, it's set up like sports, dude. They have like under table cameras so they can see everyone's cards. Sometimes I think they're tagged in some way, and they just like everyone's cards like on the fucking. I don't know what else to call that. The
HUD, is that what you're gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna say HUD. Everyone's cards are up there, and like they're fucking commentating on there because it's so decision based, like how you want to play. It's really interesting, but that's really all I know is that like it gets really people get really into it. It's broadcast. Is it on ESPN?
It used to be on ESPN. These days it's
Well, there
split
you
up
go.
between like some different channels and a bunch of different streaming services like everything else. But
Well, then it has to be a sport. It's on the sports network.
yeah, it used to be like a big main event thing on ESPN.
Yeah.
And like all of the guys who are playing are sponsored, like sponsored athletes. You know, they're at the table wearing hats with whatever company
Yeah.
wants their logo to be on TV while they're at the table. And yeah, it's pretty much a sport. And it's a
Yeah,
pretty
I mean,
popular one.
it's fun to like see everyone there with like the hats and the glasses and stuff. I think the mystique around it's kind of weird because look, gamblers are weird, right?
Yeah,
And
certainly.
it's like they're very superstitious. I don't know. When I play poker, I want some crosstalk. But the thing is I want to play poker with my buddies. I don't want to play poker with a bunch of random people.
Yeah.
And the reason that it's so fucking tense and that you're like not allowed to really talk at the table is because people are like not having a good time usually. And it's like, I don't want to hear your commentary, buddy. Like,
This is why I love what they call table talkers in like professional poker. These are the guys who make speech a major part of their strategy, right? Like they kind of poke at people, they prod at people to kind of throw them off, or these guys are often really good at bluffing too, and they'll just be like making conversation at the table to distract people from what's going on, or they're lying really well about what they have in their hand, but they've always got something to say while most of the table is just quiet. I love those kinds of players when I see like pro poker on the TV.
it requires a level of charisma.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're getting into it, but the World Series of Poker is the largest and most popular set of events in the professional poker sphere. Across all of its events last year, there was $482 million available in prize money.
Damn.
The prize pool for the main event alone totals over $90 million. Just to buy into the main event, it costs a cool $10,000. And that's something anybody could do. Like you or I could go enter the main event with $10,000. The winner of the main event can take home over 10 million. That number's grown a lot in recent years, but that's just one event at the World Series.
That's nuts. Can you cash out any time or do you have to play to the end?
No, I think you have to play till you get knocked out. But the way the prize pool is laid out, it's not like winner takes all. Like a lot of people finish with a profit.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. They even show the tournament on TV, like we mentioned. With coverage spread out across multiple channels and streaming services, it's hard to get exact numbers. I did try to look for them. But it's not uncommon for the main event to draw hundreds of thousands, even over 1 million viewers.
That's crazy.
So it's very popular. That's the point I'm trying to make. With that in mind, let me tell you about some of Phil Ivey's accolades as a pro poker player. He has 11 World Series bracelets. These are golden bracelets that are given to event winners at the World Series. He has 49 final table appearances, which means he's in the final like 6 to 9 players of an event, depending on what game they're playing. Jeez. And he has 102 money finishes, which is when you finish with a profit, but you didn't make the final table or win the event.
This guy pretty much just can't lose.
Yeah.
Also, 11 bracelets. I imagine like you walk in, sleeves down to the table, you roll up your sleeves in like your fucking gold bling. It's just like 5 and 6 on each arm. Like
he's got like fucking bracers made of World Series bracelets every time he comes in. I would love to see a guy just wear all of them at once.
Can I get a World Series 4-finger ring? It just says win on it.
So this guy has over $50 million in career winnings playing professional poker. And in 2017, he was also inducted into the Poker Hall of Fame, which I did not know existed until this week. So yes, Phil Ivey is a famous gambler and straight up one of the best poker players that's ever lived. Kelly Sun, on the other hand, developed a somewhat shadier reputation. She was born into a family that became filthy rich after the Chinese Cultural Revolution and Mao Zedong's death in 1976. Okay. She traveled the world gambling with her family's fortunes and became known as a high roller. Famous casinos offered her opulent stays at their hotels, hoping to entice her into losing a few million along the way. It seems like she really fell into this lifestyle, and she claims to have lost over 20 million in family money, traveling around the world, being unemployed, and gambling.
Okay, I mean, the brutal, but also that sounds pretty sick.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
If your
Unsustainable.
family's yeah, we'll get to that. Having a family who lets you do that sounds pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to find too much information about Kelly's life as a high roller, but it's clear that her luck had started to run out by the early aughts. In 2007, she took out a casino marker in Las Vegas for $1,000. That's like
100,000. 100,000.
Did I not say 100,000?
You said 1,000. Yeah.
I'm sorry. She took out a marker in Las Vegas for $100,000. Markers are like short-term, no-interest loans that the casino gives to high rollers so that they can continue gambling when they run out of cash.
Jesus Christ. The fact they could do any of this shit's absurd. They're not financial institutions.
I know, right? They can give loans, though.
Jesus.
She then left the country without paying the debt, returned 6 months later, and was arrested for her troubles.
Boo.
Yeah. It's a little unclear, but apparently Kelly had used her high roller status to take out the casino marker in her name to give to a friend.
Okay.
The story goes that her friend never paid back the casino, despite lying to Kelly that they had. Kelly supposedly believed her friend and unwittingly left the U.S. Whether she was aware of this or not, Kelly ended up spending about a month in jail when she returned to the country to find out that her debt had not been paid. She seemed to be running out of the gambling money that she had grown accustomed to, and the arrest turned out to be a bit of a tipping point for her.
When you get on, this is why banks should, or this is why, this is why casinos should not be allowed to do this. Because if a bank gives you a loan, there's like conditions and stuff attached to that. And if you don't pay it back, you just go into debt and then they call it a wash. If you do this with a casino, they have you arrested and put in jail. It's not a fucking, what the fuck?
She's kind of running out of gambling money at this point, but right? It's not like she doesn't have $100K to pay the casino back, and yet she gets off the plane and has to spend a month in jail.
Jesus Christ.
She apparently wasn't treated very well in jail either. I couldn't really find anything to corroborate that, so I didn't include it in my script, but it was something that I saw a couple of times. Sure.
She totally stole that money. Like this wasn't for a friend thing. This is that defense sounds incredibly like plausible deniability to me.
Yeah, I have no idea. That's just kind of the story that's out there, but she may very well have not made the money back that she took out and been like, I'm just gonna leave and hope everything turns out okay.
They'll forget.
Around the time of her stint in jail, Kelly also began to develop her skills as an advantage player. It's unclear exactly what led her to that pursuit. Maybe she was left with a grudge after her arrest, or maybe she just wasn't capable of cutting her losses and walking away. But one thing was clear. She was absolutely intent on finding a way to beat the house and win back what she had lost. Do you know what an advantage player is?
Yeah, of course. Do you, listeners?
Uh-huh.
You tell us.
That's right. We're doing Dora this week.
Advantage play is you're counting cards. Basically, you're giving yourself an advantage. Look, casinos fucking will throw this tag at a lot of stuff. I've always found it to be a bit fucking ridiculous because it's like, oh, you have an advantage. Well, you know who normally has an advantage? The fucking casino.
Yeah.
So like, I think it's a pretty ridiculous term in general, but basically you've in some way figured out how to either give yourself like a distinct edge, which these methods grow very few these days.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or you figured out how to at least balance the fucking scale. And all of this fits into the same category of advantage play.
Yeah. So a career advantage player is a gambler who tries to basically make a living off of developing strategies to reliably beat the house and make profits at the casino. This often includes a combination of creating the best possible odds and also usually abusing casino reward systems to make up the difference. But these players also look for ways to beat the odds in specific games to the point where they have an advantage over the house. That's kind of the most famous form of advantage play because it's the most impressive, right?
Yeah.
Counting cards in blackjack is probably the best known example of advantage play. The margins are slim, but a blackjack player who keeps close track of the cards that are being dealt can create a mathematical advantage over the house. Even before it was popularized, card counting was an extremely difficult strategy to use effectively. It requires a sharp memory, constant mental math, and 100% perfect play at all times.
If you fail at any point, you've skewed the numbers drastically. If you forget
Yes.
or lose track, it gets worse and worse. In general, I would say that so there's also like different strategies you can do. So like there's basic strategy for blackjack, but card counters will have a deeper understanding of the card and stack as a whole. So basic strategy only works at each hand dealt as a snapshot.
Right.
But people who count cards obviously have the entire, they're not, okay, look, it's not like they know every single card that was played. They have an idea of how rich the deck is. And so they know what strategies from basic you can skip or avoid or switch out based on how rich the deck is, because your chances are a little bit different so long as you know the whole thing. And so you can do that too, but you need to keep track of all this all the time, constantly. And I'm talking like it takes it to like 40, it's like 51% and 49% advantage to the player.
Exactly,
instead of the normal like high chance for the casino. And think about that, like that's 51% chance to just win your bets. So you still are going to lose money. And it all washes out. Like it's really hard to say how much like value you could even gain by doing the strategy. But
yeah, I mean, a big advantage that card counters get out of having an idea of how rich the deck is that they can adjust their bets based on the likelihood that the hand is going to turn out in their favor. But even then, it's important to realize, like you said, that even a perfect card counter only can create a tiny advantage over the house. In the 50s and 60s, card counting was in its early days. Casinos hadn't really figured out how to effectively prevent it yet, and they weren't entirely aware of it and how it worked. So the conditions at that time were ideal for card counters. And even then, they could only create about a 3% advantage over the house at max. These days, casinos use multiple rotating decks and altered rule sets to minimize the effect of card counting. They also are really good at recognizing it and kicking card counters out, like we said. The best advantage that you can hope for these days is about 0.5%.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of advantage that could take thousands of hands to work out in your favor.
Yeah, so that's the thing, is it's 0.5% advantage overall, but that's law of large numbers, and you need to move some large numbers for the law to work. you know, it's like you have to push a lot of money and a lot of hands and a lot of exposure just to meet that data. Like it's really hard, and it takes a long time.
Yeah, and like I just said, casinos aren't going to let you play for that long, so it's almost impossible to do.
You're against the clock at every single house, at every single table you sit at.
Yeah. And my point in all of this is that true advantage play is extremely rare, and it only gets more difficult with time. Becoming an advantage player requires finding novel ways to beat casinos at their own games, and the casinos have a couple centuries of experience in stopping folks from doing exactly that. But Kelly's son was up to the task.
Okay.
Before meeting Phil Ivey, Kelly had high-rolled herself into a tough spot and was looking for new ways to beat the odds and keep winning. By 2011, Phil Ivey found himself in a similar situation.
I'm sorry. Keep winning? From my understanding, all she did was lose.
That's true. It's just anybody throwing around hundreds of thousands of dollars at a time feels like a winner to me, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's the mystique behind it, right?
Yeah. So in the mid 2000s, Phil Ivey was at the top of his game as a professional poker player. And so was online poker, just as an industry.
That's something we could do an episode on.
Yeah, for real. I'm about to do like a 5-minute episode on it.
Okay.
The whole story around it is quite interesting, which I kind of just found out about it this week. But in 2003, the World Series of Poker main event was miraculously won by a random accountant from Tennessee who was completely unknown to the world of professional poker. His name, and I shit you not, was Chris Moneymaker.
Hell yeah.
His actual God-given name is Chris Moneymaker.
The aura exuded from this man. Yeah. That's crazy.
That's what are they? Nominative determinism, right?
Yeah.
Your job depends on your name. And this
Or
guy's
your
an accountant.
your name determines your job. But yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Dude, if I'm hiring an accountant, you think I'm gonna hire fucking John Doe or I'm gonna hire fucking Chris Moneymaker to run my books?
Chris Moneymaker, bro.
Chris Moneymaker.
So Chris Moneymaker qualified for the World Series main event by winning an online poker tournament that cost him just $86 to enter. He would end up winning $2.5 million and inadvertently starting a sort of boom in the poker industry, especially in the online poker industry. To this day, this boom is referred to as the Moneymaker effect. Which is sick.
Fuck yeah, dude.
As I'm sure you could already tell, Moneymaker's story had people all over the country wondering, why not me?
Exactly. When just a normal dude, sorry, you say he's from fucking Tennessee, just like some normal accountant from Tennessee with a really cool name, just fucking crushes out of nowhere. Like people are like, this is for normal average people. I could do this.
Yeah. He entered an online tournament that anybody could have entered. $86. That's a pretty low bar of entry. And he turned $86 into $2.5 million. He's not a professional player and he won the entire main event.
Crazy.
Anyway, after that 2003 win, online poker became hugely popular. Millions of dollars flowed through popular sites like Full Tilt and Poker Stars. Most of this activity was made up of amateurs who suddenly fancied their chances. These were people who simply thought they were a little bit better than the average person at math or lying or some other relevant skill to poker. Any perceived advantage convinced people that they might be the next Chris Moneymaker. As it turns out, these people were actually the prey of the online poker industry.
Yeah.
In hindsight, this is maybe the most unsurprising thing that you've ever heard. This situation sort of mirrored what's currently happening with prediction markets today, like we talked about a couple of weeks ago. The companies that were making online poker available to the masses were also doing some shady accounting in the background.
Sure.
The government wanted to shut them down, and in 2006, a law was passed that would help them do that. Apparently, this was a rider to an anti-terrorism bill that made it a felony to accept payments in connection to bets and wagers made over the internet. Pretty plain and simple.
How do we get around that today? Because that shit's happening.
Cryptocurrency and the fact that sports betting is just like legal in a lot of states now, I think.
Oh, interesting.
But the act went into effect. They might have rolled it back or something too. I don't know.
Also, like 3 years for this to be a problem and it to be solved. And we've been sitting around for years with online gambling only getting worse and worse and worse. And poker was just poker. Well, like people chose to play it and spent their own money. What?
They passed this in 2006, but it takes them another 5 years to actually do anything about it.
I mean, at least they passed something. You know what I mean? We're just sitting here like letting people ruin their fucking lives with their phones.
Yeah.
In so many ways.
And like you said, nowadays it's not like people playing against each other, you know?
It's just fucking...
It's all going to the company that's hosting the gambling. Anyway, that act went into full effect in 2010, but nobody had actually done anything about it yet. The poker sites knew about the law. They were aware of it, but they continued to operate and accept payments. On April 15th, 2011, the domains of the largest poker sites in the country, PokerStars, Absolute Poker, and Full Tilt, were suddenly seized by the federal government.
Oh.
At the time that these sites were shut down, Phil Ivey was a spokesperson for Full Tilt Poker. He was deeply intertwined with the upper leadership, several of whom had just been named in a federal indictment.
Oops.
Full Tilt was found to have paid out tens of millions in player money to its executives. They siphoned player deposits into their pockets instead of keeping it on hand. When they were caught, they didn't have nearly enough money on hand to pay back their users. Full Tilt owed over $300 million to its players, and they never paid them back.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So after the domains get seized, people log on and there's just this screen that's like, this domain has been seized, and it's got like the FBI logo and the like Department of Defense logo or some shit like that. And people, there's just like 300 million in the site in player money that the company doesn't have on hand, and those players never get that money back from the company.
It's fucked. I don't understand how this shit always fucking happens. Always happens. Like, it's like without fail. Everything becomes a Ponzi scheme. It's just fucking crazy.
This is Full Tilt was arguably a Ponzi scheme.
Fucking nuts.
And Phil Ivey was a big promoter of Full Tilt. So needless to say, his reputation was marred because of his involvement with Full Tilt Poker. The popularity of poker took a nosedive, and Phil Ivey's online poker income dried up. Don't get me wrong, he was still filthy rich, but I think that Phil Ivey and Kelly Sun are just alike in the fact that they simply can't walk away.
Yeah. At his heart, he is a gambler. There is, 85% of gambling addicts quit before they hit it big. So
that's true. Yeah, I've seen that stat.
Yeah. But even if you're a hobby gambler, even if you're a gambler, like no matter what, you're a gambler at heart. And that has a certain effect on personality that just makes it hard to walk away from the table.
Yeah.
So that's a good point.
Yeah, he was still rich. He could have kept winning money playing pro poker, but it was like this sudden wellspring that was created by online poker dried up, and he couldn't really handle that very well, I don't think. And speaking of Kelly, she thought that she had figured out a way to beat baccarat, but her strategy required a partner. Phil Ivey was the perfect candidate. He was a world-famous high roller who could schedule private games at casinos, where Kelly could create the perfect environment for her strategy to work. Phil was also down on his luck and looking for new opportunities, making him susceptible to the offer that Kelly was about to make him. Kelly got in contact with Ivey. She told him that she had a surefire way to beat the game of baccarat and asked to meet with him. The core of Kelly Sun's baccarat strategy is something called edge sorting. And Steven, you're a bit of a cards guy. You used to do card magic. Do you happen to know what edge sorting is?
Do they have access to modifying the
Yes.
They're using the prints on the back of the cards.
That's correct. Yeah, that's what they're
because
going to do.
They're borderless cards, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Oh, that's fucked.
So you understand where this is going, and I'll explain it for people who don't understand where this is going.
Oh my God.
But this is 2012.
Great idea.
And she's the first person to figure out how to use this.
Great idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Holy shit.
So edge sorting is a technique made possible by the patterns printed on the back of playing cards. A deck of playing cards is printed onto one big sheet, and then the individual cards get cut out of the sheet.
How many cards are on that sheet, Jett?
I knew you were gonna fucking say that. Is it 56?
Yeah.
Yes, let's go. I still got it. So oftentimes, at this point in history, the backs of these sheets were printed with one continuous pattern. There was no border around the edge of the pattern on the back of the card. That meant that when they got cut, the pattern on the back of each individual card would be slightly asymmetrical. I think a visual aid helps with this, so I'm going to show a picture of what I'm talking about here, and I'll throw it up on the screen too if you're watching the video. This is what a card that can be used for edge sorting looks like. For audio listeners, we're looking at a playing card where the back is covered in a diamond pattern. On the left edge of the card, the pattern cuts off halfway through the row of diamonds. And on the right edge of the card, you can see the full row of diamonds before the card cuts off. The important thing here is that one edge of the card is visually different from the other edge of the card.
Yeah.
So now it's important to take note that this difference does not tell you which card is on the other side. It only tells you which way the card is oriented, right? But if you can manipulate which ways certain cards are facing in a deck while you're playing a game, then you can identify face down cards just by the edges on the back of the cards.
Yeah.
So Kelly Sun's baccarat strategy relied on getting a dealer to turn the best cards 180 degrees before returning them to the deck. This was basically a way of marking the best cards as they got played. When those cards came back out face down, Kelly could identify them because they were facing a different direction than the other cards. She could bet accordingly and win big.
This does require the dealer to be in on this.
That's the hitch, is she needs a way to do this without having an inside man dealer. And she figures that out too, which is crazy.
Okay.
It's kind of like astounding looking back on how she figures this out. And because I'm just like, how are they not suspicious here? But we'll get to that.
The only way I could think of, I'm just going to throw a guess out now.
Yeah, do it.
This is in 2007. Are they using automated card shufflers, or are these shuffled by
That is part of what they ask for.
It needs to be shuffled by hand.
Well, if shuffling by hand is like a variable that messes this strategy up, right? Because a dealer might rotate the cards while they're shuffling.
Okay, so I was thinking that they would watch for those rotations, and when they were shuffled back together, so I don't know if you know this. Well, obviously you do, but like listeners, cards are always in the same order, and if they're a fresh deck, a cooler, if you will, they are always in the same order, with two kings touching, and they go out to the aces from there. When that's shuffled, that order is predictable and redefinable. So if they shuffle them, they're going to take the cards away. And I'm just thinking that like when they shuffle them, they go to shuffle them, they turn the cards. And as long as they're turning a certain way, that would work. But that is a human element there. So if they're using machine sorted only, then it's how they get loaded into the machine to make sure that they're shuffled the right pattern. Yeah, I'm having difficulty seeing how this could work out. So I'm very curious.
And they specifically need like the 8s and 9s and stuff like that. Like the best cards, they need just those ones to be rotated too, right? They don't want any of the other cards in the deck to be rotated. Right. That way they can identify the best ones when they come out face down.
You'd be rotating half the whole deck every time if you shuffled in a certain way.
Yeah. What she needs is a reliable way to have all of the best cards turned in one direction and the entire rest of the deck turned in the other direction, or as close as she can get, right? Mm-hmm. So Kelly was able to get dealers to rotate cards for her just by the nature of how casinos in Asia work. Superstitions and lucky rituals were very prevalent in these casinos and just Asian gambling culture. And they had versions of baccarat where players could touch and manipulate cards for good luck. It wouldn't have been out of place for a player to rotate a winning card for good luck. So Kelly would play at tables like these and gradually sort the deck over time into good cards and bad cards. And that's how she edge sorted. When she would get a 9 in her hand, she would be like, oh, yay, lucky card, and then rotate it 180 degrees before giving it back.
Okay, so yeah, it requires a little bit of upfront loss or like actual gambling. And then once everything's set, you just fucking rip.
Then you raise your bet
Yeah.
and you start making money. Yeah. So there's still some unreliable factors here, right? Like the fact that if an automatic shuffler isn't being used, the dealer might shuffle the deck, rotate the cards, and mess up your sorting. There's also the fact that a lot of tables are like mini baccarat, especially outside of Asia, the version where you can't touch the cards, which completely knocks out this strategy.
Yeah.
But in casinos where you were allowed to touch the cards, Kelly's strategy worked pretty well, and she proved it to Phil Ivey in a test run when they met up. The problem was that, like I said, there were too many variables at a normal baccarat table for edge sorting to be consistently reliable. The dealer might shuffle the deck in different directions. They might change the decks out entirely.
Yeah.
You also get tables that play with full shoes of decks instead of just one deck. The pattern on the cards might be too small or too difficult to make out with the naked eye. And like I said, they might not let you touch the cards at all.
Yeah.
So all of these things can fuck up this strategy immediately. And it was these issues that were holding Kelly's son back from getting a really big win with edge sorting. And Ivey was exactly the man, and she needed to fix those issues. With Ivey's fame and high roller status, they hoped to find a casino that would grant some very specific requests in exchange for a chance at Phil Ivey's cash.
Yeah, we're in an industry where it's all about greed, baby, and
Yeah.
these casinos want that fucking money. So they'll do anything. They'll bend over backwards to get someone into their place, just to bet some fucking cash.
Yeah. So they go looking for a target, basically. They go looking for their mark.
Mhm.
Phil Ivey is looking for a casino that would give him a private game with some very particular conditions, and he was asking for 5 things. Number 1 is that Phil wanted a private area to play in. Number 2 is that Phil wanted to be allowed to have a partner playing with him. This would be his good friend, Kelly.
Of course.
Number 3, the dealer had to speak Mandarin so that his good friend Kelly could better enjoy the game.
Okay.
Number 4, only one 8-deck shoe of purple Gemiko playing cards could be used each session. And number 5, the cards had to be shuffled using an automatic shuffler.
Yeah, all of these are essentially creating an environment that is very controlled. This Mandarin speaking is interesting to me. Are they just ensuring that the dealer is going to understand the cultural effect of twisting the cards?
Essentially, yes, because they're going to be in the U.S. when they do this, which means that they're not going to let them touch the cards, but the dealer can do little rituals and stuff for you, basically. So,
and they're going to leverage Kelly being Chinese to, like, say it's a cultural thing. Right?
Exactly. That's exactly right. So some of these demands might sound odd or suspicious in a vacuum, right? But they were made believable just by Kelly's presence. As a high roller from Asia, it wasn't unexpected for her to have superstitions about the type of cards being used or the type of shuffling techniques that were being used. The Mandarin-speaking dealer would also be more accustomed to rituals like rotating lucky cards.
Sure.
This made it look like Phil was just trying to get the casinos to accommodate his high roller friends' cultural differences. They're just quirky high rollers with some normal superstitions, is essentially how they're trying to play it off.
Gamblers are insanely superstitious.
Yeah.
So it's like, casinos are very used to this kind of shit.
Yeah, and he can be like, oh, well, this isn't where Baccarat works where she's from, so can we just get like a dealer who's used to how she plays? And, you know, it doesn't seem that suspicious, right? And eventually the pair find their mark. It's Atlantic City's Borgata Casino. And Atlantic City had once been a gambling destination on the East Coast, but the industry there had greatly declined at this point. The Borgata was one of only a few major casinos left, so having a whale like Phil Ivey come for a private game was really enticing for them.
For sure.
The Borgata agreed to Ivey's terms, all 5 of them, in exchange for a $1 million upfront deposit.
Easy.
Yeah, right? On April 11th, 2012, Phil Ivey and Kelly's son began their first Baccarat marathon at the Borgata. The pair bet an average of $25,000 per hand over the course of 16 hours.
Whoa, I mean, make money while the money is being made. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. Like this, the strategy. I'm sorry, 8-deck shoe, right?
Yeah.
So they need to play. I don't know. Three players, bank plus 2 players, 3 cards each, 52 cards in a deck, not including the jokers, which aren't going to be there. It would take like 40, 50, probably over 50 games to set up your deck appropriately.
Yeah,
And
that's a great point.
That could be hours.
Yeah.
And from there, like it's set. So time to make the fucking money. You know what I mean? And you they're probably not going to run in there and pull you out. So you stay there and you bet and you just keep fucking going until you've made so much money or they stop you.
Yeah. They do not stop.
I understand.
And they do make so much money.
Yeah.
Everything went off just totally perfectly. It went off without a hitch.
Awesome.
And they cashed out with $2.4 million. I genuinely don't think the Borgata was suspicious at this point. They had just taken a big loss, but Phil Ivey seemed eager to come back, this time with higher stakes. It seems that the Borgata couldn't pass up the chance to get their cash back, and to be fair, that would have been the smart decision if it weren't for Kelly's son being there.
Yeah. And everyone involved they're all gamblers, right?
Yeah.
If you run a casino, you're a gambler. And of course they want their chance to chase their fucking loss.
Yeah.
Just like they expect their players to do.
Because in their mind, they're like, we always have the edge. This guy had one really lucky binge session. He's feeling lucky. He wants to come back. He's going to swing too hard and we're going to get our money back.
Yeah.
On May 3rd, 2012, Kelly and Phil returned to the Borgata. Their second baccarat session apparently spanned the course of 56 hours.
Oh my God.
I hope they slept somewhere in there or got up to go to the bathroom, I'm assuming, but goddamn. This time,
Lord,
they gambled an average of $36,000 per hand, and they were once again allowed to cash out. This time, they walked away with another $1.6 million.
Not as much on the earnings that time, but still fucking crazy. I'm sorry. Yeah, if I could make 1.6 million a day, I would do it. Or sorry, a day and a half.
So
2.5 days.
Yep. Yes, this is more than 2 days of
Jesus
apparently
Christ.
one running baccarat session.
Insane.
Fuck, apparently the Borgata still wasn't catching on after the first 2 visits, though. It only took 2 months for Phil Ivey to be invited back for another round of baccarat. During the first 2 visits, the maximum bet had been set at $50,000 per hand. This time, the max bet would be doubled to $100,000 per hand. And the casino is probably hoping that the pendulum would swing back in their favor more quickly after a few bad hands if Ivey's betting more, right? And again, this would have been the sensible decision if they actually had the edge, but they did not.
No. This is awesome.
So on July 17th, 2012, Kelly and Phil got to work for real. With the new maximum bet, they ended up with an average wager of $89,000 per hand. They played at that level with that kind of bet for 17 hours.
I don't like how I feel after throwing $50 per hand once. I can't imagine moving almost 100 bands each time I'm making a bet.
I know. It's crazy. I don't think I've ever put more than $10 on a hand of cards.
15 would be your minimum bet at the casino we went to.
I've never put more than $15 on a hand of cards.
Yeah. They even if I knew I had insane chances to win, I would still be very nervous because it's what if I misidentified a card? I get it in my own head so easy.
I know. But I guess it's proven at this point, right? They've already made what, 4 million or something like that.
Yeah.
So after they call it quits for this session, the Borgata was forced to fork over another $4.8 million to the two.
Pay up, suckers.
And they, keep cashing them out too. Like they have all this money. So
I can imagine they're like, oh, fine.
Right? So over these 3 sessions, they've earned themselves a cool $8.8 million in 4 months.
God.
And they decided to take a break at this point.
Yeah.
So Ivey could make a reliable living playing poker, but he was also known to gamble hundreds of thousands of dollars on games of chance in his off time. For him, a break from work often meant more gambling, and gambling in a scenario where he wasn't in control of winning.
Yeah.
He just liked to throw dice and like play roulette and shit like that. So after taking a break from his work in Atlantic City, Phil took a trip to London. He ended up at a casino there called Crockford's. Crockford's was founded in 1928 and was one of the highest class gambling joints in the UK. It actually closed down in 2023. The casino was a smaller, more elite sort of gambling den place, and they seem to have been run out of business by the rise of online gambling, essentially.
Damn.
When Phil visited Crockford's in August of 2012, he also tried to run them out of business. Phil wasn't there to edge sort originally, and he didn't have Kelly with him. But while he was on his gambling vacation from gambling, Phil noticed that Crockford's had the same form of baccarat that he had played in Atlantic City. And as per usual, Phil seemingly just couldn't help himself.
Dude, if I had like an infinite money glitch, I wouldn't be able to either.
He's like, oh, they have the glitch here. Yes, let's go.
Oh, it's so good.
So Phil called up Kelly and got her to fly to London and meet up with him at Crockford's. Since Crockford's were already offering the form of baccarat that Kelly needed to edge sort, all Phil had to do was set up a private game for them. They would proceed to absolutely rinse Crockford's. They stacked up $12 million at the table.
Wow. Damn, dude.
$12 million in this one game.
Milli.
Yeah. But unlike the Borgata, Crockford's got suspicious after one game, and they refused to cash out, saying that they were holding the transaction under suspicion of unfair play. Phil and Kelly wouldn't get to leave with their winnings, but the worst part was that they had aroused suspicion. Word travels fast in the world of casino security, and the pair knew that they would be on borrowed time once Crockford's figured out what they were doing.
And they would be. Like, I keep calling banks.
Crockford's will figure it out.
Yes. Casinos have like, we joke about our own, but casinos have an R&D department, and they like sit there and they fucking like look at the facts and the details, and they recreate shit. Like they will figure it out. They got like fucking card scientists up in that shit.
Yeah. This is like I said, they're like on borrowed time now, right?
Yeah.
Just because somebody is like, I'm going to look into this, because once they look into it, they're going to figure it out. So, looking to take advantage of their scheme while they still could, Phil and Kelly returned to the Borgata for one final time in October of 2012. Mm-hmm. It's not entirely clear to me when it happened, but the Borgata had become suspicious around this time. They were seemingly tipped off by Crockford's, who was kind of starting to figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
They may have realized what was going on during this game, or they may have known beforehand and they wanted to gather evidence because them and Crockford's are kind of trying to figure out if they can get their cash back. One way or another, this final 18-hour session of baccarat started out hot for Phil and Kelly, as per usual, right? They were betting an average of $94,000 per hand in this game. And at one point, they found themselves up by over $3 million. Eventually, though, their luck seemed to be running out. The winnings were steadily decreasing as the game wore on, and at the end, they left with a total of about $800,000, which they were allowed to cash out with again. It was a healthy amount, but it's noticeably and significantly less than their other runs.
Yeah. Dang.
So it seems that Phil
Is that
Ivey.
intentional?
That's
pretty much
kind of what
can't
I
lose.
think. That's what I
Okay.
think. Yeah. It seems that Phil Ivey and Kelly Sun may have become aware of the Borgata's suspicion at some point during the session. So they may have tried to pull back, right, and give the casino as little information as possible about what's going on, and kind of guarantee that they can still cash out. I couldn't tell exactly how this went down in the room or how much the Borgata knew at the time, but it would explain the sudden drop off in Kelly Sun's strategy and its effectiveness.
Yeah.
Because they're playing under the same conditions and they're suddenly making millions less. It just feels like that has to be intentional to some extent.
They would have to be intentionally doing it.
So, however much the Borgata knew about edge sorting in October 2012, it would take them another 2 years to build any kind of case against Ivey. In the meantime, Ivey himself decided to sue Crockford's for the $12 million that they were refusing to pay out still.
Mm-hmm.
He took legal action against them in 2013, by which point Crockford's had figured out the whole scheme.
Yeah.
And this is where you'll get the chance to decide how you feel about the legality of all this.
Yeah, this is hard to say because I hate casinos, and anytime they get fucked over, I feel good about it. But I mean, look, the only difference between what a casino is doing and what they were doing was they knew something. The casino did not.
Yeah.
Usually the casino knows something that you do not. I don't think it's really fair that casinos get to sit there and they get to whine and bitch and moan about advantaged play, or this isn't even cheating. They aren't really cheating. It's just they're using the tools that they're using the devices at their expense to play the game to the best of their ability. Just because they find a meta game doesn't mean necessarily that they're like cheating. And also, so fucking what? The casino has lost about $20 million. You know what they also made? Probably like 4 fucking times that on everybody else.
Yeah.
They like the only real solution, like with card counting, is to go, I don't want you to play here anymore. That's all they really, I think, should have been able to do. Saying that this is illegal, building a case. I'm assuming they take them to court at some point. I just think it's fucked up and stupid. Like, the casinos are always winning, and the laws support them taking advantage of people. It's fucking ridiculous. Like, they should just be forced to eat their fucking loss if they fuck up. It's just what I think.
I 100% agree with you. And I think you're going to like Phil Ivey's argument. I've got a good quote from him coming up. But this case doesn't end up being about whether Phil Ivey edge sorted or didn't edge sort. It ends up being about whether edge sorting was legal to begin with, whether it was a form of cheating or not, basically.
Interesting.
Because Ivey openly admitted during this case to edge sorting. Crockford's figured out his scheme, and Ivey was like, yes, that's how it worked. That's what we were doing. But he argued that the technique wasn't unlawful. He pointed out that the casinos had agreed to his conditions for a private game, and that he had no obligation to reveal his strategy to the house in the same way that the house has no obligation to reveal their strategies to him.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's pretty much what I just fucking said. Like,
yes.
I think, yeah, that's incredibly accurate. If a dude and his friend want to go to a casino and edge privately for hours, sometimes days, and then they walk away having made money, I think that's totally fine.
Edging for 56 hours. So here you go. Ivey is quoted saying, I believe that what we did was a legitimate strategy, and we did nothing more than exploit Crockford's failures to take proper steps to protect themselves against a player of my ability.
Oh,
oh yeah.
Oh, that's good stuff.
So he's essentially arguing that it was the casino's responsibility to protect themselves from sharp play, which I think is how it should be.
I think so. These are games, just like video games, right? It's a studio's responsibility to make sure that metagame doesn't get too out of hand, and they just correct it. Like a casino failed to recognize metaplay, and they needed to correct it.
This is why they've got those security teams, to protect themselves from this kind of play. It's shady, but just because their security team messed up and didn't protect them from sharp play doesn't mean the sharp play was fucking illegal all of a sudden.
You know what else is shady? Casinos.
Exactly.
Holding $12 million because they're suspicious.
Yeah.
Oh, in what fucking reality would you be allowed to basically just stick someone for 12 mil because you didn't like something but didn't know what you didn't like?
I feel like it might be a little bit fishy, maybe.
Yeah.
And Crockford's argument, I must say, is one that I like much less. It's like some real legal technicality shit. They essentially had to find an aspect of Ivey and Son's strategy that would constitute cheating under Section 42 of the Gaming Act. I don't know anything about British law, to be fair, but what they ended up focusing on was the idea that using a tool or device foreign to the game in order to win could be considered cheating. They argued that the croupier, which is like the dealer, and the automatic shuffler were both used as tools for cheating.
But these are standard tools.
Also, the shuffler thing is funny because this is like presumably this is a shuffler that was provided by the casino. So it's presumably like a stock regulation shuffler from like a manufacturer that makes these things for casinos.
They just have them on hand. And this is an employee of the fucking casino.
Yes.
These devices aren't foreign.
Yeah, they're also calling the dealer a tool foreign to the game.
Yeah.
Like,
and while the dealer may have had to have been foreign, they most certainly were not foreign to the game.
No, you need the croupier to play baccarat. Otherwise, there's no baccarat going on.
It's just two people sitting at a table, and they just go, "Oh, I got 9. Okay, cool. That's it." Neat.
So this case would eventually fall in favor of Crockford's, deeming the edge sorting strategy to be cheating. The judge stated that the croupier they throw out the shuffler thing, but the judge states that the croupier had unwittingly, been, quote, used as an innocent agent or tool when Ivey and Son asked them to rotate the lucky cards. Based on this, the court decided that edge sorting was not a legitimate strategy for beating the game. What do you think about this like technicality argument?
I mean, unfortunately I see this.
I follow the logic, right?
My original idea was that they needed either the dealer to be in on it or they needed to trick the dealer to be in on it. And the court saw that latter as being the fact, and which, I mean, I can't argue isn't the case, right? Like they utilized a cultural position in order to influence something. I wouldn't say that the agent was the tool. I would say they like leveraged cultural perspective, but like regardless, it's the same thing.
It's still so borderline to me.
Yeah.
Because they're like asking the dealer to do it, and the dealer's doing it. The dealer doesn't have to do it. The casino could tell the dealer, no, don't do that for them.
Well, so that's the last part of what I think here is ultimately casinos are responsible for training their employees. They're trained to know to do or not do certain things during the game, in order to maintain the casino's edge. So this would and how are those written, or how are those things they should or shouldn't do learned, but through making these errors originally? They're just mad that like they lost a bunch of money before they realized they needed to add this to the list of things that or maybe even change the games they offer. But like ultimately it's the casino's responsibility. I understand what the court's saying, but then it's whose fucking responsibility is it? And I think it's the casinos, because in every other regard they have organized rules and operations to prevent things like this from happening in other games. This is just a new thing they need to learn to do. And I don't think that they should be able to get away with keeping that money that was fairly wagered. Like,
yeah, I completely agree with you. I don't really think this is cheating, honestly.
No, it's not.
So that was in 2013 when Ivey sues Crockford's and loses. And in 2014, Ivey faced another legal battle, and this time he was the one getting sued. The Borgata had gotten their case together finally, and they wanted their $9.6 million back. Ivey's argument was pretty much the same. He hadn't broken the rules of baccarat, and he had simply outsmarted the casinos at a game that they had explicitly agreed to playing with him.
Yeah.
Borgata had two main claims against Ivey. They claimed that he had defrauded them and that his actions had breached the implied contract of gambling at their casino. The judge would ultimately rule... Yes, it's just one way. The judge would ultimately rule in favor of the Borgata 2 years later in 2016, but after looking into this decision a little bit, I find the explanation that they offer just fucking baffling, dude.
What the fuck, man?
Oddly, Judge Noel, I think, Hillman threw the claims of fraud aside and decided to focus on the breach of contract portion of the case. Hillman revealed a very unusual stance on gambling in relation to the law. He said this: "The odds will be set up to benefit the house, and the state will tax the revenue. In short, and by design, over time, every gambler who plays against the house will eventually bet and lose more money than they win. The principle that the odds are against you is literally true and eventually wins out. This is something every gambler knows." And while this is true about the nature of gambling, the problem is that it also implies that it is illegal for a player to have better odds than the house for any reason.
More so, it incites that it's illegal to win consistently.
Yes.
What the fuck?
I don't know. Yeah, this gets worse too, because he suggests that the house must legally have the advantage, basically because it generates tax revenue. And these were the laws of gambling in New Jersey under this judge's interpretation. He says this is how gambling works under the law. The house has to have the advantage. Using that interpretation, Hillman said that Ivey and Son had broken their obligation to the casino as set forth in New Jersey's Casino Control Act, the CCA. This is what he said: "Ivey and Son were obligated to follow the prescriptions of the CCA in order to lawfully gamble in the first place, and they were also obligated to follow the rules of baccarat. Ivey and Son breached their primary obligation." Hillman stated that this primary obligation... Yes, that's correct. Hillman stated that this primary obligation had been breached because, quote, "Ivey and Son adjusted the odds of baccarat in their favor. This is a complete contravention of the fundamental purpose of legalized gambling as set forth by the CCA." So this judge is quite literally saying that Ivey and Son breached contract simply by creating a scenario in which the casino did not have better odds than them. I know the house always wins, but the legal precedent for this is news to me. It seems like wrong to establish the idea that gamblers are legally obligated to play with inferior odds at all times. I get that gambling works this way regardless, right? But it feels like a dangerous door to open to me. And even though Phil, Ivey, and Kelly's son, they don't know when to get up and walk away. We've established this, but I'm feeling pretty sympathetic towards them after reading this shit that the judge said.
This shit is genius. This was such a fucking solid idea. And for all these casinos to go, wow, they stole money. Fuck you. I know. Grow up. Like you sit there. This is the issue is these casinos establish these locations where people go and they fucking just ruin their fucking lives. And I don't think that should be removed from their accessibility. But I think it's incredibly fucking absurd when a casino then has the fucking audacity to go, oh, how despicable. You have fixed the odds to be fair? Unheard of. While they're like, it's like that scene from SpongeBob where SpongeBob eats one piece of chocolate, and Patrick is like eating all the rest. He's like, "You ate the last piece of chocolate, and now I'm gonna starve." And it like pans down, and he's fat and disgusting. Like, this casino made probably like $100 million that day.
Yeah, they're doing fine.
Except for Cockfords or whatever the fuck. They're closed, and I'm glad.
Yeah, fucking Cockfords.
Jesus Christ, dude. Yeah, I feel fucking awful.
Yeah.
I'm incredibly sympathetic to that. This sucks.
And now we've got a legal precedent, apparently, that
In New Jersey.
Yeah, in New Jersey, that having better odds for any reason at any time is simply illegal.
That's just fucking ridiculous.
Unless you're the casino because you generate tax revenue. I don't need to go over it again. It's insane. I hate it, and that's all I have for you today.
That's fucking ridiculous, dude. God damn. Well, much like their winnings, well, I guess unlike their winnings, I'll see you, but they wouldn't see their money.
See ya.
Fuck it, see ya.